If you hear snoring in the background during this video, it's William. He's probably gonna wake up halfway through filming, so I'm gonna try and knock this out as quickly as I can. But hello, welcome to today's video. My name is Delilah. If you're new here, I am a mom to 3 beautiful little children, Eloise, Theodore, and William, ages 4, 2, and 2 months. And I share my life here on YouTube. I upload 2 videos a week. I vlog every single week, and I have been for 4 years, almost 5 years now. Today's video is no exception. I'm gonna be doing a Q&A. I went over to Instagram and I asked you guys if you wanted to see like a video all about what to expect with C-section, everything that I wasn't prepared for, or a Q&A. And it was pretty even split, but Q&A won by a little bit. So that's what we're doing today. I will be filming that C-section video soon though, so keep an eye out for that. But yes, I got you guys to ask me questions. I'm gonna be answering those questions. You guys had fantastic questions, like awesome questions. So I have a lot that I want to answer today. When did you get your period back and how was it? So I've already had my period, I think, I'm pretty sure. I'll know in like a week or 2 if I get my period again, if that was my period in the beginning. I don't know, it could have just been weird bleeding, but I'm pretty sure I've had my period back. It was really mild, but I was, I think, was 7 weeks? 7 weeks postpartum. With my other 2, I had my period back 2 months postpartum, and with all my kids, I have been exclusively breastfeeding. They say usually breastfeeding makes your period stay back longer, but not in my case. What's the biggest difference between having 2 and 3 kiddos? The biggest difference right now is just the age gap. Like my other 2 kids, the oldest 2, they can run around, they can play, they're kind of on the same level. Like Theo's not potty trained yet, but for the most part, like they know how to go to the bathroom. They know how to eat their food the same way. Like when I make their plates, I make them the same. They can feed themselves. They can, for the most part, get themselves dressed, and like they are pretty independent and they can play together. But William is the baby, and so he can't do any of that for himself. So the biggest thing is just the age difference. It's hard to keep up with the other 2 when I have to be attending so much to William. Tips for styling your home. I'm in love with your nursery. Thank you. Tips for styling your home. It really depends on you and your style and what you like. And it's gonna take you some time to really like discover your style and figure out what you like, but I have found social media actually to be really helpful in that department. Lots of Instagram, lots of Pinterest, and it's taken me a while to like really figure out my style. But when we moved into this house, I really wanted to, here he is. When we moved into this house a year ago, I wanted to make sure I knew what my style was before we started renovating, and so I just kind of sat on it for a while, thought about it, did some research, and I discovered that my style is very much like cottage, bits of vintage. I do really love like contemporary, and I do really love mid-century modern, but what I really love is like just cottage and homey and cozy vintage. So I do a lot of thrifting, and I really take my time in decorating my home and finding pieces for my home, because it's just not something that can be rushed. Let's see if he'll go back to sleep. What are your plans for 3 kids and 2 bedrooms? Sharing or basement remodel? Love your fam. So we've got big plans. Probably won't happen until like 10 years down the road. The basement will eventually be redone, and there will be more bedrooms down there. Currently there's 1 legal bedroom, but there's technically 2 bedrooms. In order to make them legal, we just need to make the windows bigger. Well, it's not just making the windows bigger, that's a big deal. Our basement is just a hot mess right now. It's old, it's outdated, it's very ugly. The layout doesn't make any sense, so we want to completely, we want to completely gut it and reframe it and redo everything. But that's last priority. We want to focus on the upstairs first. So in about like 10 years, we're going to gut it. We're going to add another bedroom, make all the windows bigger, and just make it a lot more functional and livable. Until then, we have 3 bedrooms up here, our bedroom, and then 2 other bedrooms. And the 2 other bedrooms, one's gonna be a boys' room, one's gonna be a girls' room, and it should function fine until we remodel. I really thought he would sleep longer than this. All right, I guess this is how we're going to continue filming. What's the next big house project? Not really sure. The 2 projects we really want to do this winter are a temporary fix in the kitchen, like a budget-friendly fix. Eventually, again, that one's gonna be like ripped apart and completely redone, but I'm getting really tired of looking at those red oak cabinets, and I'm so desperate to paint them and to just freshen up the space. So that's gonna be a big one this year, as well as our bathroom. You are a noisy drinker. Hopefully that's not too loud in the mic. Our bathroom is gonna be huge. We're going to rip it out, everything in it. This house is 25 years old, which isn't old, but nothing in this home has been renovated or redone. And the bathroom has been very well used in that time, and it is nasty. Like the shower especially is just nasty. So I cannot wait to rip it out and completely redo everything. Long-term plans for your channel. As your wonderful kids grow older, will your content change? Yes and no. See, I'm really undecided. I'm really not sure. As my kids get older, they're not going to be on my channel as much. They're not going to be on social media as much. But at the same time, we're going to be in this stage of life for a while longer because we're not done having kids. I don't really know how I would change my content. I think my kids would just appear on my channel less and I would continue doing similar things to what I have been doing. Generally speaking, changing up your content drastically on YouTube is not a good thing because whatever you start your channel with will always do the best. So I started my channel with vlogs and sharing my life, and so that's what I've stuck to, and those are the videos that always do best. So obviously I want my content to do well because this is my job and this is a big chunk of our income. Honestly, I just haven't really thought about it too much. Once all of my kids are older, I will not be doing YouTube anymore. There will be a time when I will just have to call it quits. But I don't know when that's gonna be. I'm just taking it year by year and going where the Lord leads me. Are you thinking about quitting YouTube? You know, I got a lot of questions about people asking if I was quitting YouTube, and I don't know why. I'm not quitting YouTube for a while. Like I said, one day when my kids are older, I'll quit YouTube, but for now, we're just gonna keep going as we've been going, and I don't have plans on quitting anytime soon. Eventually, I would love to move from YouTube to other social media platforms, like do Instagram full time, maybe start blogging, do something else, because YouTube is really like full on. It's a lot of work. Making videos and coming up with content and staying on top of the game and keeping up with the ever-changing algorithms and trends is hard. Instagram and blogging is just easier. What phone do you have and how much storage? I don't know. What phone is this? The 11? 11 Pro? Is that a thing? Yes, iPhone 11 Pro. I think I'm due for an upgrade this year, or was it last year? I don't even know. I don't know. I don't even know what the new iPhones have. But when I do upgrade, I will be getting the best of the best. Not because I think I need it, but because with my job, I need a lot of storage. I've always regretted not getting more storage, so when the time comes for me to upgrade, I'm getting like maximum amount of storage possible. Still sticking with iPhone. I probably will never make the switch to anything else. Okay. This is the question I knew would come up over and over and over again. Where is Winston? Okay, so for about a year, we had been contemplating rehoming Winston. There were a number of reasons for this. I'm not gonna go into great detail, but we had just been thinking about it and we didn't know what to do. We were really stumped because, hang on. Whoa, wow, that was easy. Whoa. Do you want more? Are you done? You little milk drunk? Winston was very attached to his home and his people. He had a history of like getting stressed, and when male cats get stressed, their pee crystallizes and it's like a whole thing. They get really sick. So we didn't think rehoming him would be an option, but it was kind of in the back of our minds. And then this spring, I think it was this spring, it was a few months ago, we found the perfect home for Winston. Like, it couldn't have been more perfect. And so we decided to give it a try. They were willing to give it like a trial run, give him some time to adjust, and if it didn't work out, we were gonna take him back. It took him some time, but he adjusted and he is absolutely loving his new home. He now has 2 dog friends. He lives with 2 dogs and he is just living his best life, and it's amazing. We're so happy it worked out the way it did and that he was able to find a home that was just absolutely perfect for him. And I asked Winston's new mom if I could share photos of him from the past couple of months, and he's so happy. As a kid, what was a name you always wanted to name your children? The one name that sticks out in my mind is Rose, and we used that. We used that on Eloise. Her middle name is Rose, Eloise Rose. What parenting advice you'd go back and give yourself when Eloise was first born? As a first-time mom, I didn't know anything. Everything was new to me. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was consumed completely with trying to make sure I was doing everything perfectly. So a piece of advice I would give myself is just let things go. Let it go. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're not perfect. She's not perfect. No human is perfect. You don't have to parent, or your child doesn't have to meet up to the normal standard. There is no normal, you know? Like every baby's different, every mom is different. The little things that I thought mattered so much then really just didn't matter. They didn't matter in the long run. Do you see the mic? That thing on there, it's called a dead cat. It's kind of a weird name. You're gonna grow up learning all kinds of camera terminology. I feel like this is way too bright. That's much better. Do you speak French, and do you plan on teaching your children French? I do not speak French. I took about 1 semester of French in school. It wasn't really offered. It wasn't offered in our school. I think it'd be really cool to be able to speak French, or to be able to speak another language in general, but I do not know French. So therefore I cannot teach my children French because I do not know French. If it's something that's offered in school, then yeah, sure, great. But I don't know French. Where do you get your everyday strength to do all the things you need to do? First of all, it doesn't all come from me. I find a lot of strength in my God, in the Lord, in prayer and reading His Word, trying to be the parent and example that the Lord has called me to be. Like seriously, I couldn't do this all on my own. My strength does not all come from me. But also I love what I do. I love being a mom. I love doing this as a job. I love it. I get to be creative. I get to create content. I get to reach other mothers. It's just a really, really cool job, and I love doing what I do. What does your husband do chore-wise? I never see him doing laundry, cooking, etc. He does a lot. He does a lot that you don't see. He's another reason why I have the strength to do what I do, because he takes a lot of it on himself. He does a lot of it for me. When it comes to chores, we kind of have our own designated chores. He does what he's good at. I do what I'm good at. I do lots of like the laundry. He's not allowed to touch the laundry. That's my area. That's what I do. In the same sense that I'm not allowed to touch the cars. That's his job. He cleans them, he takes care of them. That's his territory. Generally speaking, I'm the cook, but every once in a while he'll do cooking for me. He does a lot of the cleaning around the house, like Saturday chores. Very often he's the one like doing everything, wiping down the bathrooms, vacuuming, mopping, all of that, and I'll do more of the organizing stuff. How is Theo really feeling about the new baby in the home? He's doing great. He loves William so much. Took about a month for him to adjust because, I mean, he was the baby of the family, right? He was a mama's boy. He's not so much now because all my time is with William, and he finds more comfort in his dad now. It was a hard adjustment for him at first, but he's doing really well. He's completely adjusted, and he loves William so much. Look uncomfy. Hang on. Gonna hang out here. It's looking really bright again. What's the hardest and easiest transition? 0 to 1, 1 to 2, or 2 to 3 kids? For me, the hardest hands down was 0 to 1, and the easiest ones, I think 1 to 2 and 2 to 3 would be even split of easy. But here's the thing, with 0 to 1, Zach was working full time, and with the other two, Zach was at home. At least he was at home for the first couple of months when Theo was born, and now with William, he's been home ever since, and he has no plans on going back to a 9-to-5 job. He now works from home. So he's been home and he's been helping, and having that help makes all the difference in the world. Also, Eloise was colicky. She was my first. She was colicky. My boys have been really easy babies. And with my first, like, my whole life was flipped upside down. Everything I once knew was no longer that way. And I had to completely relearn how to live my life, taking care of this child. And you know, it's so different going from no kids to 1 kid. But after you've had one, you kind of know what to expect for the others. You know what to do. It's not a surprise anymore. And so it was just a lot easier. That's how it's been for me, but everybody's totally different. What would William, Theo, or Eloise's name have been if they were the opposite sex? Funny enough, the names that we had for the opposite sex are no longer on our list, and we're really glad we never used them. It's getting brighter again. What is going on? I'm not going to share the name that we would have named William had he been a girl, because that's still on our list and we still might use it. But had Eloise been a boy, we would have named him Benson. That was the name we had in mind, and honestly we never really loved it, but that was the name that we had. And we couldn't think of anything else. So thank goodness she was a girl. And then when Theo was born, had he been a she, we would have named her Ivy. This had been a name that we had loved for a long time. Eloise was almost named Ivy actually, but we like the name Eloise a little bit more, so we went with Eloise. Ivy had been on our list for a really long time. It's not on our list anymore because it's becoming so popular. But yeah, it's a really pretty name. How does it feel having your life and family so public? Do you regret it sometimes? It's weird because when I film these videos and I share these things, I'm sharing it from behind a computer screen, from behind a camera. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm publicly sharing my life. But when you really think about it, like now the entire world knows us and our life and the things I've struggled with, the things I've talked about. Really, it's a weird job and it's kind of hard to wrap my head around sometimes, but sometimes I do regret it. I'll go through phases where I just kind of want my life to be private, and lately I've been kind of holding back a little bit more. And as my kids get older, I'm more cautious about what I share and what I talk about. I know that this is where the Lord has put me. I wouldn't have had success otherwise. And when I received messages from so many of you talking about how I've encouraged you and uplifted you and brought you closer to the Lord and encouraged you to start reading your Bibles again and uplifted you in your parenting journey and all of this stuff, it puts it into perspective, and I realize why I do what I do. It's so much more than just a job. It's so much more than just sharing our life on social media. It's making friends, creating community, touching lives around the world. It's really cool. Is Eloise going to do any sports or dance? What does she like to do? I'd like to put her in ballet or some kind of dance. I think she would love that. She's going through a phase right now where she just wants to wear dresses, princess dresses and tutus, and I think she would love doing ballet or something of the sort. I don't know, we haven't looked into it, but I think she'd like to do something along those lines, and that will, I'm sure, change as she gets older. She'll have different interests and different things that she likes to do. Life seems really busy at the moment. How are you taking time for yourself? It is crazy busy. Crazy busy. Taking time for myself is something that's hard because I have a lot of responsibilities and things that I need to do first before I can take time for myself. But at the same time, if I don't take time for myself, I'm running on an empty cup and I can't properly take care of everything else. So it's kind of a tricky balance, and I don't know if it'll be something that I ever figure out or ever have fully balanced in my life. But I guess something that I do for myself and every day is I'll treat myself to small things, like I'll make myself a special coffee or get myself a special treat, you know, just little things here and there. He's kind of upset right now and I'm not sure why. I think there might be some gas bubbles in there. Any more babies in the future? Yes, definitely. How many? I'm not sure. Do you have help with the kids or the house? Zach helps a ton. He helps a ton. Also, most weeks, one day a week, Zach's mom will watch the kids from like 10 until 5 so that I can have a solid work day. That's actually what's happening right now. They're over at Gammy's house. So it's just me and William today. Where do you get your children's clothes? They always look so cute. So there's a number of shops that I love, but before I go to any of those, I always go thrifting first. So the vast majority of their clothes are thrifted, same with myself. And then for kids' clothes, I love Simple Folk Co., Kindly the Label. Those are my top go-to stores for kids' clothes. A couple new ones I've recently discovered are Earthside Goods, is it Jolly Polly or Jolie Polly? Don't really know, but I love their stuff. I can link a few others below as well, but those are some of my top favorites. How do you have a meaningful quiet time devotion time with limited time? I sacrifice sleep. I sacrifice sleep. Although lately I haven't been doing that as much because with a newborn I'm up throughout the night, and if I don't get enough sleep, I'm not a nice person. So my devotion time has been lacking lately, but generally speaking, I'll get up way before the family's up. I usually wake up at 5 a.m. and I'll just spend time with the Lord, have time for myself. It's really good for my mental health. I laughed a little bit when I saw this question. Don't you ever regret not having a wild youth and instead settling down so soon? I don't regret it for a second. The whole wild youth scene has never been my gig. The thought of going to a party just kind of, like I'd rather just stay home. it just doesn't excite me. It's something I don't want to do. And maybe that's because I'm an introvert. I'm shy. I don't love being around a lot of other people. I don't love being in crowds. It's just the whole like environment, the whole scene just really does not interest me at all. I would so much rather spend an evening at home playing with my children than going to a party and drinking and getting drunk. And Zach is exactly the same way. What are some ways you parent your children differently than your parents did with you? There's little like technical things like the way that we start feeding our babies food is we do baby-led weaning for the most part, some purees, but mostly baby-led weaning, and our parents didn't do that. I've started cloth diapering in recent years. They never did that, but like that's really minor things. When it comes to actual parenting, we lean more into the gentle parenting and just kind of realizing how certain punishments, certain phrases and words suppress their feelings rather than teaching them how to manage their feelings, if that makes sense. Our parents raised us really well. They raised us to be hardworking and disciplined and good with our money, and they've raised us so well. But Zach and I definitely are more down the like gentle parenting route and just being careful of what we say and how that might affect them in the long run. And this is something that we're always going to be working on and learning, and will always have room for improvement. When was the last time you and Zach went on a real date? When he was in the NICU. The day that we heard he was coming home from the NICU, we went out to celebrate. The oldest two were being babysat. He was in the NICU. We couldn't take him anyway, so we went to a restaurant and we had a nice lunch date, and it was lovely. How was your relationship with the Lord changed through this past pregnancy and postpartum? I learned a lot about trust, and that's happened for me with every one of my births. But especially with Williams, because there were so many complications. And I mean, if you saw my birth story or heard the story, if you know the story, you know God's hand was clearly at work in that, and I had to rely on him. I just had to let go and blindly trust. He's also been teaching me the importance of just slowing down, knowing where my priorities lie. It's obviously important to work, and to work hard. It says often in the Bible, like to work hard for what you have. But at the same time, the Bible also says you need to enjoy the toil of your labor. So just slowing down, enjoying my family, enjoying some of the things that the Lord has given us, and just soaking in our time with our kids, because I mean, time is so fleeting. What would Zach want if we sent him something to your P.O. box? I actually asked him this when I read the question, and he said candy. I guess scent of candy. How do you get Eloise and Theo to sleep well? Are they turbulent sleepers? They sleep fantastic. They are awesome sleepers, especially Eloise. Like, I think a lot of that came from sleep training her when she was 3-4 months old. With Theo, we did a much more gentle form of sleep training. With Eloise, it was a little more harsh because that's just what she needed. And after like 2 weeks of sleep training, she was amazing. She's been amazing ever since. She was actually a lot happier after she was sleep trained versus before she was sleep trained. Like, it was just so necessary. The one thing that's difficult is because they share a room, they like to goof off and bug each other. And you know how siblings are, there's always some fighting involved. There's tears, someone gets hurt, and then they're giggling again, and then they're you know, that's the only struggle, is that they share a room and they like to goof off for a long time before they fall asleep. But once they're asleep, they're asleep. Did your pregnancy experience with Will make you nervous for future pregnancies? I haven't really thought about it that much, to be honest. I think when the time comes, I'm gonna be really nervous, especially ultrasounds. I think ultrasounds are gonna be really scary for me from here on out, because, I mean, the first ultrasound with William was great. But after that, like the 20-week scan and then all the ultrasounds following were just, every time I went, it was more bad news, and it was scary. So I think that's gonna be hard for me in future pregnancies for sure. How did you come up with Will's name? You know, I don't remember where I heard it. I don't remember. Oh dear. That's why you're so uncomfy. You're pooping. Okay, you get that out. You get it out. I don't know if I read it off a baby name list or if I heard it somewhere, but I mentioned it to Zach and he liked it. That never happens, especially for boy names. For us to both like a boy name is rare. So once we had that name, we knew that was the one. And we loved the nickname Will. That was one thing that really drew us to his name, is because we loved Will. It's so cute and it suits you so well. And then, fun fact, after we came up with that name, we were out and about and we had heard a mom call for her son, and her son's name was William, and we're like, oh, we really like that. And so that just kind of sealed the deal for us. And I think that's all the questions. That was a lot of questions. I've been sitting here for probably an hour and a half filming. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.